Hello. Bl'Artagnan here with Dimensions and Transcendence, Tier 7, Crucibles 1 and 2. We have a little double header here. I figured since the Crucible fights aren't super duper exciting or interesting, I'd just bump them both into one video and get them out of the way. A little 2-for-1 special. Hopefully that'll be a bit more fun to watch than two separate short little videos. Before we get too deep into it, be sure to hit that like button, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, ring that notification bell, and leave a comment down below letting me know your thoughts on the fights. They're, certainly, well, they're fights. I'm bringing a team here of Vayne, Lillicet, and Shadow. It's these glowy lizards from the Alphinaud Lost chapter. It's been a little while since we've seen them. They have mechanics, I think? Maybe? I don't know. If you let them act, I think they like start glowing and attacking you or something, but that isn't really something that we end up dealing with here. The most interesting part about the fight is probably the orb, which is they have to take 4 HP attacks in a turn, basically like 4 Brave Dumps in a turn. So something like a launch there will take the orb up. Something like Shadow's follow-up and his own Wild Throw combined will take the orb up. Something interesting that I discovered is that Vayne's BT follow-up does not take the orb up, so I brought him partly to fill the blue crystal requirement, and partly because I figured he'd satisfy the orb, and the answer is actually not so much. He does not satisfy the orb, so that's awkward. We're just gonna have to deal with that. And figuring that out in a few turns. Good thing I brought Shadow. Lillicet, of course, is also here because her LD and EX hit for Mondo damage, although I only end up using one of each. You'll notice earlier I used her skill 2 and her skill 1, and honestly I probably didn't need to use either of them because this is a Dimensions and Crucible Euphania level. It's basically nothing at this point. You can see here, unfortunately, does not tick the orb up. So luckily something that does tick the orb up is launches, and so we're going to be taking advantage of that just as soon as I've gotten him down to 7 BT turns? 6 BT turns. Just to get that extra follow-up here real quick before we go into the BT phase. So we got Rains, and we're just going to be doing Rains things. Since this is not super exciting content, I actually want to check in about a topic. Burst phase music, because in my videos, I've decided I've enjoyed giving kind of new burst theme, basically. Everyone has a specific music that I use when I play their burst phase out. You know, Golbez has Eclipse of the Moon, Vayne here is Twilight of the Gods. It's all from Johnny Atma's Game Metal, I think it is, channel on YouTube. So, all, just cool, awesome video game rock soundtracks. But I was just wondering if you enjoy it. I kind of was thinking to myself, I wonder if it gets repetitive if every, I run a lot of certain characters many times, so if every time I run Vayne and you hear this song, every time I run Golbez you hear this song, is that repetitive? Is that boring? Let me know in the comments. I'd be curious to hear your opinions on the burst theme tracks. I mean, maybe it's just a song selection thing. Maybe if it's a good song, you like it. If it's a bad song, not so much, and that's understandable. But if you have specific feelings about, either the repetition for good or for bad, let me know. I'd be curious to hear your thoughts. Probably a bit more interesting to me than hearing what you think about these dumb lizards who are about to get dumpstered. Shadow, of course, has 3 turns to spare, and he, satisfied the orb easily with a skill 2 and follow-up, so this is just going to be kind of a nothing sort of situation here. Just kind of cleaning them up, really. Of the 3 fights, this is probably the least engaging, least interesting, because you can just kind of push them back and quad damage them and kill them until they're dead. Not much really to say beyond that, it just kind of is. So let's try and close things out real quick. We're going to use a Vayne EX to do a launch and follow-up and splash damage. That should kill one of them. There we go, and we'll just kill the other with a... I probably should use an LD here or something, but we're going to use a Force of Will, because why the heck not? Into the sky, launch, kill, there we go, overkill. Well, that was something. The 7th, and in theory you'd assume most difficult Dimensions than we've seen so far. Not so much from what we've seen in this fight. So let's go on to the next one. Any second now. This transition felt shorter in my, I have to admit, yeah, this transition definitely felt like it was going to take less time. Anyway, so here we go, we got the Ghost Brothers again, the Sabin bosses. Haven't seen them in a hot second. And this is actually kind of interesting. They have frame turns, so they can't be delayed, can't be deleted, and can't be launched. So, like, in theory, there's, like, some danger there, because they've locked out a bunch of our options. It doesn't really play out in practice. The orb is, we've seen this orb a few times now. It's a trap orb, but also not a trap orb. It's a trap orb plus an effect orb. I don't know if that makes sense, but basically, certain things counting down that deal damage to them boost the orb. Traps are the main thing, but things like Vivi's overhead, and presumably Sevens as well, do tick the orb as well, as you can see. So that's why I brought Vivi. I mean, triple target fight as well. Like, this is perfect. Using the Ace Call there to keep us alive as well, because they're very fast. They actually take a lot of turns, and you can't really mess with the turn order. So you do need a fair number of ways to deal with them. And by a fair number, I mean a single, like, Furion type situation, Trey, Ace, will shut down the fight by itself. But I didn't bring them because I thought Prompto's follow-up would also tick them. I was like, okay, in effect, counts down, deals damage. Alright, Prompto. Turns out his LD follow-up attacks do not tick the orb. So that's all fine and dandy. This has just been a tremendous learning experience for me in terms of what does and doesn't work on these dumbass useless fights that I'm probably not going to be rerunning. Unless I really decide that, oh man, I need Y'shtola for tier 8, or like, oh man, tier 10, this is the perfect place for me to put Prompto or something weird like that. On the right side, his EX deals a boat ton of damage now. Boatload, boat, a shit ton. Kind of crossed my idioms there. A lot of damage, big damage, man. Y'shtola does too. But yeah, we're mostly relying on a combination of Vivi's overhead and some LD calls, Ace and Trey in this case. Trey is really going to be keeping us nice and safe from that orb. And that's great, because these guys aren't threatening in the least. I think the other guys mechanically, like, they had some attack they can probably do, because if you let them glow, they, like, hit you or something. I forget. I just remember when I came back to the game, Alphinaud's Lost Chapter was like a bogeyman for me, because those things kept blowing me up. But anyway, these guys not so much. They do have hit point attacks. They do have, like, the capability to deal damage to you. And I know this because, is it here? Yes, because they actually did it right here and just kind of punched my face in, and I was a little surprised to find that. A little embarrassing that it happened to Prompto. I should have kept his evasion up. That one was on me. Not the greatest look, but it's okay. There we go. Reapplying the lock, reapplying the evasion. We're all safe now, and dodge a bunch of their attacks, like, whatever. And then we'll go ahead into the Y'shtola burst phase. Speaking of burst phase music, so I'm trying a new theme for her. Once again, the old theme I used to use for her, it wasn't actually a Johnny Atmas song, and I'm trying to be consistent with my branding, and also, figure I'm a Patreon of his, and he showed up to our stream one time, and it just seems like a cool dude, so why not? Let's do some Johnny Atmas music. And this is a really cool cover of the Zonus theme from Star Fox that he did that I like a lot. I don't know if it really fits with most of the tones of these fights and songs that I tend to use. It takes a while to ramp up. Actually, this video is going to be over before it's fully ramped up into kind of the metal part of it. But if you've gotten this far, I can only assume you're a big Bl'Art fan, and you can give me some good, honest feedback about whether this sounds decent. I'm hoping that this song kind of works for Y'shtola as a burst theme, but it might just be too quiet, so let me know what you think, and I'd love to hear it. Find out if this is something I should move forward with, or if I should find a new song. I guess that shows you how difficult these fights have been. I haven't talked about them at all, really, and we're just talking about music. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed. Thank you for watching through to the end, and I'll see you in the next video, which is going to be Reckoning with the same team, because why the hell not? Anyway, adios.